So Auntieways.
So Auntieways.
So Auntieways.
Girl.
What's the tea?
So Auntieways.
Blood.
Blood.
Blood. Welcome to the blood edition of So Auntieways. This is Shadiman.
This is Miss Matinga.
And this be boobs.
We welcome all of you to our little forum, to our conversation pit, as it were. And once again, we're going to be taking you on a journey of exploration. Isn't that right, guys?
Oh, it
Yes.
is so is.
Is it, though?
Yes.
Is it right and is it okay?
That is what that old dude said to me on the subway when I was 11 years old, and that's how I ended up gay. He said, young man, God is in the holy temple. And I was like, I think I might be down for this.
Well, I love that you have a theme. Apparently, every week you're going to talk about some time that you were assaulted
Molested
on the subway.
On the subway.
Honey, listen, it happens. Shit happens. I mean, shit
MTA,
happens.
bitch.
MTA, honey.
One time I was getting on the L train, and you know how, like, you know when something's up when, like, everybody gets out of one car and goes into another on the subway?
Yes. You think you're lucky? You're like, ooh, I'm gonna get a seat.
Honey, you know something nasty going on. So
Yeah.
I get in the empty car, and there is, God forgive me, a homeless man sitting there jerking off, but honey, churning the butter. Like,
Ooh.
honey, that dick was so raw, it was shiny.
Wow.
So I sat there and I watched for like one stop.
For a minute, yeah. It's not like you walked directly out.
No, I sat
You
and watched.
definitely was.
And he was wearing like overalls and it was like poking up through like the little zipper flap thing. Anyway, I can't believe it wasn't butter.
Mm-hmm.
So true
Parquet.
story, real quick, just to
Bring
parquet,
it.
honey.
Parquet.
And we don't mean running around rooftops, honey.
Hello.
Okay,
Isn't
honey.
that
One time,
parkour?
that's parkour, yes.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah.
honey, one time I was on 8th Avenue grabbing the L back home at like 2 a.m. after some, bar type experience. And this kind of handsome, but clearly like on the skids, African-American dude, gets onto the subway train, and he's dressed well.
He's dressed.
But it was probably from a Salvation Army. But I'm like, look at this guy. He's like, look at me. And I'm like, oh, kind of a handsome black guy, but he's clearly on the skids, poor guy. But he was like this big, tall guy. And then he like literally got up, stood 5 feet away from me, and whipped out the most monster cock. Monster. It was like two babies' arms super glued together.
Ooh.
It was big, and at first, like when he whipped it out, I got kind of frightened, and I was kind of like, oh, but then I was like, oh,
What did it taste like?
and he's like standing there, and he's jerking it off, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and honey, my heart was racing, and I was like, I can't suck another homeless cock.
You had your quota for the night.
I'd had the quarter for the night. He literally gave him a quarter.
Yeah.
Right.
And I literally like right at the next stop, I was like, oh. and I got out, but I was like, oh man, that dick was big. But it was definitely not that there's anything wrong with homeless dick. Even homeless guys got to get laid.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
I wasn't gonna do it.
Well, the thing is, if you have like bottled
Maybe.
water, you can like rinse it. You can like rinse it before. I'm just assuming, not that
It
I've.
was so big, but I didn't touch it. I did not get anywhere near it. I was like, oh shit.
Miss
that thing
Matinga is
big.
homeless dick, and there's a homeless problem in this country. There's so many of them. So what? Statistically, some of them are going to have lovely trade. Okay.
Right.
Honey, this was lovely.
But Miss Matinga, by the way, we
Lovely.
just lost viewers. I can see it. Miss Matinga, is what you're featuring? No, literally, I just watched it happen. Is what you're featuring this week homeless genitalia?
No, it is not. And I'm not trying to disparage the homeless. I'm just saying the guy was probably homeless, but
Yeah.
the lima was lovely. And
But
I
how
could
did it?
sit there.
Did it have like an acidic taste?
Listen, it was big and brown and kind of beautiful. And so
Like Jennifer Hudson,
I sat there for a station or two, like,
or 2 or 3 or 4?
all right.
Hi.
Okay. Well, Miss Matinga, to move into our first segment, what are you featuring this week?
Okay, So this week, and I almost sort of mentioned it a moment ago, I just want to say that I love October. I love the fall. I love, it's sweater weather. It's sweater weather.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the fall also leads us into Halloween.
Mm.
And what I'm loving is that all the stations, Hulu, HBO Max, Shudder, they're all doing 30 days
Of Halloween.
31 days of Halloween, and
Mhm.
they're rocking the scary movies. And I love it. And I'm trying to watch, like, not a scary movie every night, because I've watched many scary movies, but I'm trying to watch, the good ones that are coming by. And so far I have, and I love that. I love that. It's something I do every October, is just really immerse myself into some scary films. And so far, last night I watched Fear Street 1666. It's the third of that trilogy, and it's LGBTQ centric, and I thought really, really compelling and quite bloody. And then, of course, AHS is doing a double feature, and they've just started the second feature, which is some type of alien drama
Yeah.
with, is that Mamie Eisenhower and
Mm.
You mean Mamie Gummer?
no, Mamie Eisenhower.
Sarah Paulson plays Mamie
Oh,
Eisenhower.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then also who was the very famous female pilot who was
Amelia
lost
Earhart.
and then Lily Rabb is Amelia Earhart.
Oh, I love it.
And I'm living, and so that's what I'm feeling this week.
So you're featuring horror.
I'm featuring horror, but also Halloween and fall
Okay.
and sweaters.
And sweaters. Gotta have sweaters.
I'm also featuring horror this week. Because Bob has never seen it, and we spoke of it earlier.
Mm.
We started watching RuPaul's Drag Race season 1.
Talk about horror. What?
Horror.
Yeah.
Be
Honey.
for horror.
Just a filter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ru is looking rough.
Yeah.
Rough. Santino is shady.
Santino uncooked rice.
Shady.
Yeah.
Like hurtful shady, like
Mean.
the comments
Mean.
are just mean-spirited.
Yeah.
And the queens are the bottom of the barrel,
barrel.
working on Long Island.
I don't know.
Bottom
look at
of
BB.
the barrel. I mean, except for BB, and that's why she won.
What about Angina?
But like,
Angina?
oh no! I live for Angina. I
on.
love Angina. But honey, Rebecca Glasscock.
Yes.
And these fucking queens that
Jade.
you never, Jade Chanel,
Sotomayor.
that you
Akeisha.
never heard from again.
Nina Flowers.
I love
Nina
Nina
Flowers. She's a huge
Nina
DJ
Flowers
now.
fucking fierce.
Miss
Yeah.
Booby, why do you put that in the horror category?
It's just rough. It's really rough.
Rough.
The stage is rough.
It's
The background, where they, the workroom is rough.
It's cheap.
It's cheap. Like they were on a budget to film this, and you can tell the difference between the first and the second season immediately.
Is
But the-
season
but the-
one, is that the season where they have to go on Hollywood Boulevard and get people to come to their show? Or am I,
No.
is that okay,
They
maybe
do
that's
that on
later.
that was the season with Sonique, whatever season Sonique was originally on.
Two
They
or
had to
three.
go.
That
They
was
had to go
two.
on. Yeah, they had to go
Yeah,
on to
okay.
Hollywood Boulevard and come do our show. Come see our show. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
Yeah, but the
Interesting.
thing is the filter, because everything looks so cheap, and because now how many Emmys has Rue won at this point?
Like 13.
And how and I just mean for her specifically as host, at least 4 or something like that, and deservedly so. But now, like, that show is the show when it comes to incredible lighting, incredible makeup design and costume design, and they win every year for that. Now you take a look at that show looks immaculate.
Yeah.
But
Right.
all they had was that cheap ass filter that first 2 seasons,
Right.
and it looks so raw. And I actually find it hard to watch because the filter is so aggravating.
And
Yeah.
they didn't have Michelle, they had Merle Ginsburg.
They had Miss Merle, who's also very fierce. Miss Merle Ginsburg.
Right. But I think, in the beginning, that first season, it was a parody of reality TV competition shows. But now it actually is.
Is.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's, it's a global juggernaut. I know we all
Yeah.
watch it. We talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should revisit that as a horror, as a Halloween horror special
Yeah. Why not?
in my own head, in my own mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're in
Okay.
that piece.
I will, on
Excuse
occasion,
me?
I go back and I'll watch an episode just as a goof.
Okay, Miss
Hmm.
Booby. I don't know what that was about. Oh, all right,
Yeah.
bitch.
But
Let me-
really, like RuPaul's Drag Race really begins much like Star Trek: The Next Generation at
Right.
season 4.
Right.
Like season 4 is when we kick shit off.
No,
Right.
season 3 had some good shit. Raja and
Yeah.
Raven and Morgan McMichael. There was some.
Yeah. No, there's legendary queens on
there's
those
some
early
quality
seasons.
bitches.
But the
Yeah.
quality.
For
Well, the
sure.
quality,
For sure.
yes, yes. Well, what I am featuring this week is a book. I'm going to hold it up. It is called "Crying in H Mart" by Michelle Zauner, and yes, that is the large print edition because, bitch,
Is
I got
blind.
old ass eyes.
Trust.
Really, really good book. It's a memoir.
Is that what you're
and-
featuring this week, by the way?
Yeah, that's what I'm featuring. This book
Okay.
called "Crying in H Mart." It is about a. It is by a woman who is half Korean, half white. Half, I was going to say half honky. Um, and I'm not giving any spoilers away what the book is about. It's about her mother.
Is it fiction?
Or is it
A
real?
film?
Or is it a memoir? It is a memoir. It is about her relationship with her mother and her mother's battle with cancer. That's what the book is about. I'm not spoiling it. Trust me, it
Right.
happens like right away. And also her relationship to her Korean ancestry and how food plays into that. If you look on the cover, it has
Noodles.
noodles, and I was so hungry reading this book, honey. I was so
Mm.
hungry. I was like, I ain't never had kimchi. I had nothing fermented, but I want some now.
Mhm.
And just so raw and so real and so good. And I didn't realize until the very, very, very end, Michelle Zauner is also, she records music under the name Japanese Breakfast.
Hmm.
And I did not and I had just listened to some and it was like, wow, I was meant to read this book right now. And it was really
Good music. You enjoyed the music?
Yeah, it's fun. Very, very pop, very pop.
Hey, since you mentioned a book, can I mention a book real quick too?
Absolutely.
Michael, I'm sure you know this because I've talked about this for years and years, but I have a little thing about Greek and Roman history. And it's one of the reasons I went to Europe with my sister and went to the Parthenon and explored Athens and Mykonos and all these places. So I got this book. It's by Garrett Ryan. It's called Naked Statues, Fat Gladiators, and War Elephants.
Oh, it's a memoir of Sound Factory.
Sure. But what it is, it's 50 questions just about Greek and Roman culture, but kind of like the things that they never answer in history books, like what was the current form of entertainment? Did they exercise? And if they did, how did they exercise? What was the common food? Was there a gay district? Was that accepted?
So-
just 50 questions that are not quite common, but it was all questions, but it's not stodgy. A lot of Greek and Roman history is either very dry or it's like Memoirs of Hadrian. It's like this sprawling manifesto. This is just like the cute little, like you could get through this in 2 days. It's really fun.
As far as the exercise, gymnastikos, it basically, does that mean like naked exercise? Is it that the Olympics were done naked? Is that correct?
Yes.
The Olympics were done naked. Yes.
I'm not okay with that.
They had weights. They actually had like little 2-pound weights.
I'm not okay with that. First of all, I don't want to see people jiggly bits flopping around, carrying a torch, doing whatever, throwing their javelin, whatever the fuck. I don't want to see it. Matenga, focus, darling. We're here. We're not in the comments, darling. We're talking about naked athletes. How can you be distracted?
Easily.
No, because Richard goes like, why are the statues' dicks all so small? It made me laugh.
They ran out of fucking, I don't know. They ran out of material. They ran out of paint. I don't know. Okay, well that's a wonderful book. Miss Booby, you reading anything?
I'm about to read y'all
What you gonna read, bitch?
that piece on your hat.
What you talking about? Oh
I mean-
no, I put my hair through.
Oh, that's
I put
what
my hair back and forth. I put my hair back and forth.
Well, that
Well,
hair has been put through something. Luckily, it's not yours.
it's been put through the
So it's not like it
ringer,
hurt or anything.
No, no, but y'all are hurting my feelings.
Yeah.
Y'all are
Oh,
hurting my feelings.
don't
Well,
be mad.
I'm not mad. Honey, listen, I understand that you guys are envious and jealous of my position in the world. And that's
Mm,
okay. That's all right,
mhm,
though. That's all right, though.
mm.
So, now people did notice that last episode we did not do a bitch I don't see that segment.
Yes.
So for those who weren't privy to the supporters only conversation, we're only going to do that when there's something we're really not featuring, when I
Right.
really don't see it.
Right.
So
We're
just
not
to,
going to force it if we don't have something.
yeah, we're not going to
Genuinely.
dial up negativity out
Yeah.
of nowhere unless. So I'll put it out there. Is there something that y'all ain't seeing?
I'm good.
I just want to, and I don't want to dwell on it, but like
Booby stank attitude. That's exactly what I'm not seeing.
Booby's gorgeous face and that sweet
Her
tush.
stank attitude.
I just want to, I'm
That yellow
not
hat,
feeling
trying to be sassy. Go,
yellow
I'm sorry.
hat. Is that
Go
like some,
No,
honey?
she
Are you
wearing a yellow
sure?
hat.
Because I know
Okay.
you and I know you be racist.
How dare you? How you Guatemalan cow?
So I take that as a compliment.
Fine.
Moo and moo and moo.
Moo and moo.
So I'm just not feeling the anti-vax movement and spreading misinformation about vaccines, because that's slowing down the American recovery, and it's also filling up the healthcare system with
Bodies.
the pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Yep.
And can you imagine, like, these medical professionals, including one of my gay children, my dear Cameron, on the front lines of this battle for 2 years now, and
Mhm.
without a break, without, like, there have been lulls, but then it comes back. We've lost more people due to COVID this year than we did last year,
And the
and
fucked up
apparently
thing is
we're in a recovery.
they're filling up those beds, and people that need life-saving procedures like a facelift or liposuction from myself had to be postponed because of
Mm.
these selfish people that can only think about themselves.
Yes, so
Bitch.
anti-vaxxers.
I
And
second
girl,
that.
we all know how badly you need that facelift, girl.
It's
Right
got
now
to
you
match
have,
that hair lift.
right, like, literally right now you've got three clothespins hidden on the back of your head, just holding back extra fat.
Girl, you see this
You
here?
look like a human
You
being.
see
This
this
up in
here?
here.
You see this here? Now, this is like tape, sort of, that they use to tie off, timber and things. That they cut down this one, don't cut this one.
Right.
It also works wonderfully as facelift tape. But I said to
Mm.
myself, you know what? I'm going to keep it real and authentic because that's how I do. I'm
Like
not going to just use
Yeah.
Madonna.
facelift tape. Yeah, like Madonna. Like Madonna. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Oh, Madam X is going to be on Paramount this
Paramount.
month. I'm
Yeah.
kind of
Oh.
looking forward to it.
Oh my God. I can't wait to not see it.
Listen, I was going to pay
Not see
$500 to see that show, but, like, I'd love to see it on TV.
I'll see
Mm.
it.
I'll
I'll
see
see
it.
Yeah.
it.
I'll
I
see it.
see it. I
Before-
see it, honey.
Well, speaking of Madonna and
Madonna.
Madonna
Madonna.
and
Madonna.
vaccinations, I'm also reading a book called Feed by Mira Grant, which is a zombie book. Not
Hmm.
normally my kind of thing, but since you mentioned, the vaccination and the anti-vaxxers and all that kind of stuff, it's a book from like 7 years ago, but it's weirdly prescient, like all these, outbreak media are. And I think Madonna's a zombie. But yeah, so I'm not feeling that either. Let's move on to a cheerful topic. What gets our basements flooded? Let's move on to the segment we called Crush.
Crush. Crush.
It's just
A
a
little crush.
crust. Oh, crust. Oh,
Crust.
oh, sugar.
I
Crush.
actually I prefer Crush by David Archuleta.
Sing it.
That Crush.
Well, what about Crush on You by the Jets?
Oh, that's the fierce one.
That's the fear.
Sing it, booby.
That's the one.
How did you know my heart doesn't show? You found out I got a crush on you.
you.
Oh, all right. Booby.
That's because
who
she liked
is-
to. Nobody
Huh?
knows, but she liked to step on, like, she liked to step on people's heads.
Grrr.
That's why. That's really what that song is about. It's kind
I
of sad.
know,
It's wrong.
bitch.
Yeah.
I know, bitch. Where's she now? In prison. Booby, who is your crush this week?
My crush is unfortunately not alive,
Kinky.
but I will show him who he is. His
All right.
name, John Eric Hexum.
Oh,
Oh.
yes.
Oh, honey, that strapping, gorgeous
Oh.
man.
Fantastic.
I
Oh,
used to watch his show in which he portrayed a model who at the same time solved crimes.
Because that's how they do.
And also, Alexis Carrington Colby Dexter Morel
right.
was his point person
Boss.
Making of a male
on that
model.
show.
Oh my God, I have that on this very laptop.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
And
ridiculous.
and so good. And he died on the set of that show a couple episodes in.
Yeah.
It was really
Not
horrendous.
the movie with Joan Collins, whatever the series he was on.
Wasn't it the same? One and the same?
No. So Making of a Male Model was a movie, a
With
TV
Joan
movie
Collins.
with Joan Collins. And in the beginning, she flies to the location in a little propeller plane. Oh, Joan. I mean, she wasn't
Joan.
piloting it, but she was a passenger.
Right.
Yes.
So, Booby,
yes.
why did you pick him? Tell us.
I just remembered him fondly. You know, he was my first, one of my first. No, he wasn't my first, but he was one of my first crushes in Hollywood,
Mhm.
and I just
Hell yeah.
thought I'd bring him up.
And what happened to him? Tell people who might not know.
If I'm not mistaken, he was shot on set by what was supposed to be a fake
prop
gun,
gun.
or a prop gun, and it actually went off, and he shot him in the head and killed him.
Oof.
But the sad part is he shot himself.
Right.
It was a prop gun, and so he as a joke he did it to himself. But what happens with prop guns is they do stuff it with a little material that causes the flash, and there was too much of that material, and it killed him. It was really it was tragedy.
Tragic.
Tragedy, yeah.
Tragic, and yet it proves my theory that the hottest guys are also the dumbest.
Mm.
Was it called Explorers? Is that the name of the show?
That
With
he
the
was
little,
on
with the little boy
Was that the show?
that they would go back in time.
I'll go back into honey. If I could turn back time.
And his voice, he had a deep voice.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. He said things like, yo, is this loaded? He was delicious.
But the weird thing is that he'd say those things to the little boy, and it was like, that's
Ooh.
kind of weird. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, this is loaded. What's up?
Let's not go down that dark path.
Down that route.
Because we could. Well, I wholeheartedly approve of your choice in men.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Honey, you pulled that one out, honey.
My crush this week is an actor. He played Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. Can you see that?
Yes.
Michael Rooker.
Oh,
Michael
Rooker. Yeah.
I wasn't consciously aware that I was into him, but I must have like a very vivid dream life because I had a dream about him, an erotic dream.
Mhm.
And Booby, did I tell you about it like the next day?
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I had an erotic dream about Yondu. And honey, I was like, give me that Yondu fondue.
Was he
thought-
Yondu in the dream, or was he
Actually,
Michael
yes.
Rooker?
No, he
Okay.
was Yondu, which is really kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yo, he's serving body and he's 63, honey.
Yeah.
He's handsome.
He is tasty.
For his age, he's rocking. For his age, he's rocking
I would
hard.
take some of that, honey, some of that Rooker,
Some of that Yongu.
some of the honey. Give me that Yongu, bitch. I will guard that galaxy, motherfucker.
Mm.
Oh,
Honey,
yeah.
then if you tease him for too long, it comes out Yon Blue.
Oh, Yon Blue, honey.
And of course, he was the villain in Slither,
Ooh.
Oh wow.
With Elizabeth Banks.
and Nathan Fillion.
And,
A movie
another
I've never
hottie.
seen is, but
Oh,
I
it's
hear
really
that's a
Good
movie.
horror film,
That's
Matinga.
a
Check
good
it out.
horror film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I'll watch that. I've heard good things about that.
Yeah.
But y'all recall that there was another Slither with one of the Baldwin brothers, the Billy Baldwin.
No, honey,
And,
honey. That was Sliver
Oh, was that Sliver?
with Sharon Stone.
And
Sliver.
Sharon Stone, and it was so
Same
bad. It
thing.
was supposed to be kind of sexy.
No, like,
It was
Yeah.
he's watching her on all the monitors in the building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no,
That's-
but they
that's
also hook up.
Sliver.
Yes. Oh, that's Sliver. Okay,
Yeah.
that was bad.
Different movie, but that would be a great double feature: Slither and Sliver.
Right.
Yeah,
Sliver.
yeah. Sliver.
While you're
What
having
the
some
hell?
liver.
Why not? Why not? I say. So yes, that is my crush, Michael Rooker, but only as Yondu. Wasn't he
Yeah.
also in the Suicide Squad?
Yes.
the
The
beginning.
second one.
The Suicide Squad.
Second Suicide Squad 2.
And wasn't Nathan Fillion also in that?
Yes, he was.
Okay, see,
Yes.
Hollywood's a small town, baby.
Mm-hmm.
It is a
Hollywood's
small town.
Small town. Miss Matinga, who
Yeah.
is your crush this week?
And Hollywood is a small town that may be going on strike very soon because
Yeah.
IATSE has said that their members can strike now. So
Wait, what?
So IATSE, which is the union for almost everyone behind the camera, the grips, the cameramen, the people that set up the lights,
Okay.
the makeup, I mean, everybody is because the actors have their separate union.
They have
But
like SAG after, what have you.
yeah, but everyone behind the camera, at writers, that's IATSE, and IATSE has just said that their members voted 99% that they're willing to strike. If IATSE strikes, all productions stop, including Broadway, television, film. It all stops.
Well, I hope they, get what they want. I support you. Look for the
The
union,
union
label
label.
when you are buying a shirt, dress, or blouse. It's true.
I love a good shirt dress.
I love a good shirt, dress. Matinga, who is your crush this week?
Oh, okay. So my crush.
You pull up
this
that picture while
week-
I sing. Sing it with me, Ruby. Look for the
Hey.
union label when you are buying.
That's before my time, darling.
Oh, really? How's that possible when you're like 20 years older than me, bitch? That yellow hat is not youthening, darling.
Do you see
And
that?
that hair
Why you
is-
mad? What? Excuse me? My glossy looks, darling.
Do you
No, I
see
don't-
anything, darling?
No, I see Booby getting sassy. Oh,
Wait.
Mm.
Let's see. I want to
Let's
share
bring this back to a realm
the
of peace and
window
happiness, shall we,
And
Bill?
love, bitch.
And love, bitch.
and share. So I think I'm sharing something.
You are sharing what looks like a homosexual.
Okay, so this is Omar Sharif Jr.
Mhm.
He is the scion of the great movie idol Omar Sharif, and he's just as fine as his father. He is Egyptian Canadian. He turned 37 this year, and he just put out his autobiography. I mean, honey, I grew up in a Latin household. I know it's, there's tons of machismo. It's, the
Mhm.
family wasn't feeling it. Can you imagine being Egyptian and your dad's one of the great stars of movie theaters, of movies, and you tell your dad you're gay? It's like it's
And the
I think it was
world.
daring of him, and I think he's just really interesting. I think, Michael, you've actually met Omar Sharif Jr.
I did at some event or another. He was very nice. Yes, I don't remember what it was.
He's gorgeous and interesting and LGBTQ, and his autobiography just came out.
What's his memoir called?
The memoir literally just came out in the past 2 weeks, but I
Is it
forgot-
printed
I
on
neglected-
papyrus? Wow, Matinga, that's a great pick. He is a very
thank you,
sexy
baby.
man, and I look
But
forward
you-
to reading that book.
But you know what else was kind of sexy? I was watching an episode of The Facts of Life.
Oh my God, that
This week,
brings
yeah.
us to the segment we like to call Just the Facts.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Remember that episode of Facts of Life when Mrs. Garrett got caught stealing?
Things almost became a little sexy on this particular episode.
Yeah. So this is
And
where
this
we talk
actu-
about an episode of the 1980 sitcom The Facts of Life, and today we are doing Runaway from season 3.
Run
An
away.
episode that has been requested, by the way, this particular episode.
Mhm.
Yes, requested by me
Yes.
because it's one of my favorites.
Yes.
I like to think of this as part 2 of Tootie losing her damn mind. Like
Right?
season
Yeah.
3, Tootie could not keep her shit together.
Being
No.
irresponsible, being
Being-
childish.
That mushroom do.
Which she
and-
looked
and-
lovely.
She
She's
did
been
look
using
lovely.
dark and lovely.
She's
Looking
dark
lovely.
and lovely, light and lively, honey. So, Booby, in a nutshell,
In a nutshell.
in a nacho, what is this episode about?
Tootie lose her damn mind and almost become a hooker.
I almost became a hooker.
Now that's
Yes.
a synopsis, honey.
That's it right there.
That's
In
how
a
you thank you for
nutshell,
tuning
yes.
into So Auntieways. This is Mike Diamond.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
when this episode opens, and it's from 1982, when this episode opens, Natalie is asking the girls their opinion of an outfit she's going to wear for their trip to the city. And I got to say, she looks like somebody's 60-year-old secretary.
Yes.
It's a blazer,
Yes, very
Mhm.
dowdy, dressed very dowdy.
Matronly.
matronly.
and
They're-
the girls, Miss Natalie, Blair, and
Joe.
are heading to the city to watch a Broadway play, sans Tootie, whose parents didn't allow her to go. I did find it interesting that they were headed to go see Sophisticated Ladies, which was a real show. And then also there's
Do you know
a
who was
moment-
in that show?
Lauren
Phyllis
Bacall?
Hyman. Phyllis
Phyllis Hyman.
Hyman.
Gregory Hines. Wasn't
Yeah.
Gregory Hines also? So it was a legit show, and it was one of the big shows right then. And then
Yeah.
later, a not a main character, but like a person mentions Lena Horne, Nicholas Nickleby, and Elizabeth Taylor. Also that year, you did have Elizabeth Taylor doing Separate Lives with Richard Burton, and you had Lena Horne doing her show. Is it Separate Lives?
I think it's Private Lives.
Private Lives. But you also had Lena Horne just doing a concert on Broadway, a concert that I
An
did get to see.
amazing show.
An amazing concert. Yes.
Mhm.
Also, Lena was about 65 at the time, and
Yep.
she looked so lovely.
Yep.
Tight.
Like tight and lovely. Yeah.
Yep.
So just little asides about Broadway.
So these three white bitches going to see a show with black folk, but the
Yes.
black girl can't go.
And the black girl can't go. And it's because her parents wouldn't give her permission.
Right. Too young.
Too young.
Too young. And also there's another student who was introduced in a previous episode we did not cover. Her name is Miko.
Also named Too Young. Oh.
Oh, her name is
Natalie.
Far Too Young.
Far too young.
Miss Far Too Young, who's played by Lauren Tom.
All
But
right.
so she also can't go. So they're going to stay behind, and Mrs. Garrett is going to drive the girls to the train station so
Right.
they can go see the show. And Tootie is mad. She is pissed, and she feels left
She's
out.
really pissed.
Yeah.
And right away, much like last week in the Jermaine Jackson episode, Tootie goes off the chain. Like she goes from 0 to 100 in seconds.
Yeah.
And she's like, blah, 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 blah. Like, because at first she's like, okay, guys, well, I guess I'll see you when you get back. And they walk, and she's like, I'm going to New York. I have 13 cents.
Right.
Or whatever. But I'm going to go to New York.
$38.
I'm gonna prove to my parents and to everyone that I'm capable of taking care of myself. I've got $38 socked away.
I got $38, honey. And so, mind you, I think one time me and Michael went to Fire Island with about $38 between us. And we
In
had a-
quarters.
In quarters, darling. And we had a fabulous time.
Oof,
But we
yes.
won't. Well, that's for the after show.
And
Enough
by
of that
the
Freudian
end,
rehash.
we
Yeah.
both had mushroom hairdos. by the
Exactly.
end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, because we love Tootie.
And I want to say
Um,
that Natalie's very funny in this episode. She's funny from the get-go.
She's funny from the get.
She's also a
She's
little
just
bit
too-
mean because as she exits, she starts singing New York, New York, it's a wonderful town.
Yeah.
Well, just rub it in that Tootie can't go.
Tootie, I just feel terrible your parents won't let you go with us. Let's go, gang! New York, it's a wonderful town.
I think, but also Blair's being a little bit mean too, but we'll get to it. So the girls go into the city, and because Blair spends too much time shopping, they miss the show. So the girls they have the money for the show, but the show is sold out by the time they go get to the ticket stand because of Blair's shopping. So they're just wandering around, having lunch, enjoying themselves, whatever. They go to a diner, and Tootie heads into the city, and of course she doesn't meet them because they don't get to the show. And
Well,
so now-
Tootie heads into the city, but she makes Miko, swear to secrecy.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. But Miko, she folds like a house of cards, eventually.
Like origami almost.
One could say.
One did
Mary.
say. Far too young.
So,
Well, before Tootie goes, there's this little episode that happens within the episode where they're in the diner discussing the hookers and hoes behind them and the table behind them.
He's a pimp? Where's his fur coat? And his cigar? And his purple hat? Maybe it's his first day.
Because Blair says, I can't eat in this disgusting place. There's only one man in a suit. And Joe's like, oh, you mean the pimp?
The pimp.
oh, you mean the pimp?
Right. And I think she calls the girls his girls, but then Natalie
Natalie says, hookers?
Yeah.
You mean hookers?
You're basic.
Blair is horrified. Natalie, kind of curious.
Yeah.
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 Joe
Joe
unbothered
Yeah.
Unbothered, unspooked.
in this
But-
greasy spoon diner.
But Blair spooked
Yeah.
and being very, just
Prissy.
being very
Judgmental.
There's a
prissy
hair
and
in my
Blair.
menu.
There's a hair in my menu, and it's just like, girl, please. And also handing off her packages to Mindy Cohn. I'd be like, blonde lady, you better hold your own
You
packages,
gotta
darling.
hold your own.
But then it switches to Mrs. Garrett finds out that
Okay.
Tootie has gone into the city. At that point, Joe calls and she thinks that they've met up together. So she's like, hey, Joe, is everything okay? Yes, everything's okay. Oh, let me speak to Tootie. Tootie's not with us. And then at this point, she realizes the girls did not meet up. And she's like, Joe, Tootie's missing in the city. I'm driving to the city right now. Wait right in front of the theater for me. We got to find her.
And
So
she's
then-
super pissed at Miko and like backhands her.
She's super pissed.
Or you wish she did.
Oh yeah,
I wish she did.
And I'm very disappointed in you both and very, very angry.
So at this point, the girls are wandering off somewhere, and Tootie gets to the city. She has now lost her jacket, and her wallet's been
But
stolen.
she doesn't know. But she doesn't know it yet because she
Well,
orders.
she knows her jacket.
Well, she knows her jacket's gone.
She
Yeah.
orders the disgusting green hamburger from the menu, and the hot
Right.
chocolate,
And the
she
hot
ain't-
chocolate.
She doesn't have the $3.85.
A hot chocolate and a hamburger for $3.85. That's probably the real price.
That's
In
cheaper than
1982?
McDonald's.
from back then. Yeah, right. That's-
1982, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
not
so-
not at a midtown diner in the theater district. No,
Right.
Today,
Across the street
no.
from the theater.
Today, honey, you go to Ellen Stardust, you get a burger for 18
Right,
bucks,
right.
and then some bad wannabe Broadway star be singing like "Suddenly Seymour," and you're like, "Chick, you need to go back to waiting tables. It's tired."
So Tootie has
There's
no
only
dollars.
one diner in Manhattan.
So Tootie has no dollars, but a young girl behind her in a cheap ass rabbit fur coat overhears
beautiful-
this, and she's like, "Bernice, I got this." Bernice
A
is the waitress.
beautiful girl. Like, didn't you think she was lovely?
Lovely,
Lovely.
lovely,
Great hair.
Great
gorgeous
hair.
That hair was so 80s.
It was
This-
so 80s.
So this is my homage. I'm giving you a little bit of side pony in my
Yeah.
own hair.
Side
My homage
pony.
to 80s hairstyles.
Huh.
Excuse me,
Side
what?
Shetland.
I'm
Side
sorry.
pony.
How dare you? What?
My little side pony.
So this chick kind of gloms onto Tootie for a minute, and
Yeah.
Tootie is all wide-eyed and naive and like, "Oh well, thank you for buying
You're an
me a
actress?
You're an actress? Wow."
Where do you go to school? I'm done with school. I work now. I'm an actress and a model.
I go to Eastland School. If you're in Peekskill, drop by. Bitch, ain't nobody going to Eastland.
But she doesn't have a bad intention
No.
Yet.
No, she's just
She's
being
just-
nice.
It's just another girl, kind of maybe her age or maybe just a slight bit younger,
Mhm.
and she buys her, her burger and her coffee. Now, this actress, KRISTY, that's not her real name, but the character was KRISTY. I've seen her in shit like from back then. Like this was like an actress who used to do sitcoms and stuff like that. And I thought first of all, I thought she turns in a really, really good performance.
Mhm.
It's like a conflicted performance because she's good to her and she's bad to her. But I was like, wow, like this girl did her little thing with this little role
Right.
in here. And at first she's just trying to help out, And at first I was thinking, the waitress is very disinterested. Like she knows that pimp is eyeing Tootie,
Mhm.
but she's staying out of it. And I was like, wow, like the waitress is being really disinterested. That's fucked up.
Uh-huh.
But then the waitress does intervene later.
Later. But before we even
Later.
get to that, so KRISTY of the rabbit fur coat and the gorgeous hair, very 80s. And she looks about 15, 16, something like that.
Yeah, thereabouts.
She says to the pimp, whose name is Mike, I'm going to go hit the streets. Okay.
Would you do it?
I'm a Mike the pimp.
Uh-huh.
If he cut that hair, yes.
Yeah.
Because
You mean that pubic hair? Because if you could see it coming out of the
girl,
top
like,
of the pants,
like
my
I already
goodness.
flossed this morning. No, he was cute in the face, but that 80s hair, I can't.
But not in the waist.
But not in the waist, honey. No.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so he says to KRISTY, hold your roll, hooker. I want you to get brown sugar in my stable, basically.
Right,
So
right.
uh
And but
KRISTY-
KRISTY says no. She's too young. She's not right. She
just
really
got
she,
a home.
No, Mike. She's just here for the day. She's going home. Hey, Mike, come on.
I want her.
she fights
right,
it.
she's
She's
here
like,
for
this
the
is just
day.
this is just a kid watching cartoons. Like she really tries to push at it. And the thing is, eventually she relents. It's very, very subtle because we're talking about television in the early 80s. But like she relents because she is afraid of the pimp.
That Mike's gonna beat her.
Yeah, they never say
probably
it
has.
explicitly. He never gets in her face, but like you could tell, eventually he forces it, and she's afraid of him.
Right.
And so she has to do it. But like, I still think she could have said, okay, and gone back to the table and said, hey, girl, like, just look like we're having a friendly conversation. Hey, yeah, like, listen,
But this
like, you're
guy
gonna
wants
come over
to-
to.
And
But
then
this
get
guy
up and
wants
dash.
to turn you. So, like, listen, we're gonna walk outside, like you're coming to my apartment, and then you're gonna run for your fucking life.
Yeah, but
Like,
you
she
know,
could have done that.
but in those situations, no matter what she did, Mike was going to come down on her.
And blame
Mike was
her.
gonna be
No
either
matter
way.
what she did,
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
gonna be her no matter
because
what.
that's
He
how
was
they
gonna
do.
beat
Because
her
he has
down.
that stable of. Did you check out some of those ladies, sophisticated ladies in that
They
diner?
were all
Mhm.
so young.
Not really. There's the
Yeah.
one sitting at the table behind Tootie. She's giving me very like
Disco.
maybe she's like 55 and like maybe she like worked in the production office at NBC and they just like threw some lipstick on her. And then there's that
Yeah.
other real spicy one in the beginning that Mike sends out the door.
Right.
That she's giving you very with the disco weave and
Right.
Yeah.
mhm.
And he's
So-
doing business from a
From
a
payphone.
Okay, because this is before beepers.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, yeah.
From a payphone in a diner.
At a diner.
Right. In that
Yeah.
ugly
What
suit
happened?
with that poofy hair.
Yeah.
But so he convinces KRISTY to convince Tootie to
To go
stay
back
the
to
night
her
at her
place.
apartment because Tootie at this point thinks that KRISTY is a model and an actress and the world is full of good, lovely people and blah, blah, blah.
She's gonna give her some
Meanwhile,
pointers.
Yeah.
Mrs. Garrett is speeding down the highway to the city to meet up with Joe and Natalie and Blair in front of the theater because they're going to find Tootie and they're going to beat her. And when she says to Joe, I'll be there in an hour, I said, bitch, no, you're not. Peekskill is like 3 hours away. Never mind that. She meets them in front of the theater where Sophisticated Ladies is playing.
Yes.
And then some dude and his woman trying to
yeah.
get tickets to the show. He's very kind of like a
Lecherous looking.
Jason Alexander type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Jason Alexander doesn't come off so seedy. Like, this
Right.
guy comes out a little bit more seedy.
They're trying to buy
Still,
scalp.
yeah.
They're trying to buy
They're trying to
tickets from a
scalp
scalper
tickets.
for the show.
Scalping tickets is illegal.
Just do it.
I love you.
And the wife, she dashes to go get her damn jujubes in
But
the
the
store.
girls assume that he is trying to pick one of them up for the night because maybe he thinks that they're hookers or something. And Natalie has one of the fierce jokes of this entire episode, maybe this entire season, where he's like, I just want two, and all of them are like, oh, they're mugging for the camera. But then Natalie goes,
Which two?
Which two?
Which two?
I'm just curious.
I need 2 for tonight.
Which two? Just curious.
And I love it. I love that because that is who Natalie is.
she's game for the adventure, you
Yeah.
know.
She's
And
not
by
gonna
the
go
way,
home with him, but she's like, me or her?
I when he says I need 2 for tonight, he means tickets. But in
2
her mind, she
tickets.
thought he meant 2 of the girls. And of course, the answer would be Blair and Mrs. Garrett. Because that's how it, that's how
Exactly.
it do.
Exactly.
You know, unless Joe could strap it on and peg her. So the girls are tramping all around town looking for Tootie. Meanwhile, Tootie's in this diner, about to be coerced into a life of ill repute. And
About to when they
rabbit fur jackets.
Everyone I know is an actor or a producer or an agent. I could take you around, introduce you.
when you are brought into a gang, there's a word for that. They beat you up. Is how they bring you into.
When you get jumped in.
So they were trying to jump Tootie into prostitution.
Mhm.
It was about to happen, and that's where the waitress finally, kind of quietly, but finally intervenes and says, "Honey, don't you
know?
understand? Don't you know what's going on here?
Open your eyes, kid.
Don't you know what they are? Don't you see what's going on? Come on, kid, open your eyes.
And she was giving me like very who's the mom from Poltergeist? She was giving Mary Beth Williams.
Jo Beth
Williams. She was giving me Jo Beth Williams, that actress. She really
that
was.
actress, she was a little more ethnic, like from the Bronx. Her name was Bernice, for God's sake. Come on, kid, open your eyes. Don't you see what's going on here?
Nice. You
They're
need to
going
run
to
on
take you to
home.
their nice apartment and give you a nice warm drink, and you're going to wake up 3 days
3
later.
days later.
Right.
Yeah. And I want to say that I believe at that point that there was no way they were like, if they still tried to coerce Tootie and be like and pressure her, well, honey, Tootie wasn't going nowhere.
Right.
Now that she understood what was going on, even before Mrs. Garrett and the girls get there, because they do actually get to that particular diner. Like once she finds out, she's just hurt. She wants to talk to the girl about it. But honey,
Right.
she's not going home with that girl. Tootie isn't that stupid. Like I could tell, like she was like, I'm headed out, darling.
You're not an actress, are you?
Sure I am.
Come off of it, Christy. I know what you are. You work for Mike.
There's
On
nothing-
the other hand, until Bernice pointed it out, she
didn't know
was
shit.
naive enough to go along with it.
Yeah, she didn't know shit at that point.
You know?
Yeah,
So,
but then the girls show up and Mrs. Garrett.
Tootie, I don't know whether to hug you or strangle you. Why not
Hug now,
both?
strangle later.
I don't know whether to hug you or strangle you.
Hug now, strangle later.
Natalie gets all the punchlines in this episode.
Mhm.
And so, you know, they're happy to see Tootie. I'm sure she's going to get punished later. And, you know, they see KRISTY by the counter. And Blair's like, you know, who's that? She's like, just some girl I was talking to. And then Mike comes up and beats her right there in the diner. She
Well,
learned a fact of life that day.
Oh,
Hmm.
honey. Yeah. Well, you know that poor Christy was deaf going to get a beating. And it's like really,
Deaf.
really sad. And as you know, there's a shot of now Tootie has left the diner, but they look at each other through the window. And it's like two girls, probably the same age, but such a gulf of life experience between like that, you know, one has none and one has probably seen like this such the ugly side of things.
Right.
And you just sort of realize that like what just could have been, because you know at some point if they did take her, if she did make the mistake of going back to the apartment and they roofied her, you know, who knows what could have happened.
Stretched.
Work.
Thing.
Oh, Miss Thing, no, far too young. Far too young.
Sorry.
Well, when
It was
Tootie and Mrs.
identifying.
When Tootie and Mrs. Garrett are looking at KRISTY through the window, I thought, this isn't a zoo. Don't stare at her like she's an object. I did not
Right.
like that. Was a little uncomfortable for me. And in KRISTY's defense, honey, with their little salt and pepper, chocolate and vanilla act, that little duo could have made the
They could have made
coins.
The
money
coins,
They would have made the
honey.
coins, honey. Fuck
The
Eastland.
coins.
with her braces.
With
Honey.
her brace.
I mean, just think of all the money I made just with a rubber mat and like in a tall glass
Well, as punishment, I'm sure KRISTY had to do shit dates for a week.
for the rest of the week. And
For
honey,
the rest of her life.
honey, and Bernice was first up.
Yep. She's like, all right, kid, this is for all those terrible tips you gave me. Yeah. Come on, kid, open your eyes. Ugh.
Yeah. It
Well,
would have been, I think it would have been nice if they had saved KRISTY Justice League 3000, but you have 20 minutes. You have 22 minutes.
What are they going to do? They already have Joe.
You-
How many street
honey,
urchins do they need?
You're not going to bring a full-on prostitute
to
to
Eastland.
to Eastland.
Right.
You can't.
She's not a puppy.
She's
She's not a puppy. She's not a kitten.
She's a sophisticated lady.
Yeah.
And Tootie, after this, is a little bit wiser, a little bit more sophisticated herself. And that is
Little less
Runaway.
naive.
A little less naive, but still rocking that mushroom dew and still causing trouble for Mrs. Garrett. This is like
Yes.
2 out of the 3 episodes where she causes drama this season. So I don't know if her braces were too tight or her hormones were kicking
Or
in or whatever.
hormones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Tootie. Tootie.
Oh,
Oh,
Tootie.
Tootie. Oh, I do like when
Goodbye.
Tootie says to her, like when KRISTY's like, "Oh, come on, you know, I'm gonna be an actress. And she's like, "Oh, KRISTY."
Now I have an apartment and super new clothes, and someday I'm gonna be a great actress.
Oh, Christy.
Like with such disapproval in her voice.
Yeah.
Like Kim
Because
Fields
you know
really
what?
sells
Because
it.
KRISTY wasn't going to be no actress.
Oh, poor KRISTY. Oh, KRISTY.
Yeah. Oh, KRISTY.
Oh, Fisty. Oh.
Yeah.
So that is Runaway from season 3 of the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Yes, I love this
Yes.
episode. And it was
Yeah,
very
me too.
80s, you know, very special episode kind of feeling.
I thought it was actually, because they've got to keep things kind of mild. We're talking about a sitcom that came on at 8:30 in the evening, aimed at teenagers in the early 80s. So they had to really skirt the
Keep
line.
it cute.
And
Right.
keep it cute, honey. But I think for that, I think that they kind of all sort of turned in really good performances.
Mhm.
Like KRISTY came off as like a real person, and at the end, I was like, poor thing. Like
I felt bad
look
for
at
her.
I felt bad for her.
With
And
her
that's
leg
good.
warmers.
Yeah, and that's good. It's good,
TV.
TV.
She was great. Mike the Pimp, not so much, but believable. I mean, he does come out of his face at them a little towards the end.
I'm just wondering why she changed her mind. Maybe she had some help.
Mike, I didn't say anything.
I don't want to hear it.
No, see, it's
Hey, that's enough.
Doesn't hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I was
Yeah.
like, Tootie, just tell him to fuck off and leave. But
Right?
that's not how Tootie does.
No.
She's class. She's class.
That's class.
That's class. That's class.
Yes.
And this has been So Auntieways. Now, in the description will be links to our Instagram, our Patreon, our merch shop, all that
Yes.
good stuff. And there are, of course, supporter exclusives that you can only get by being a supporter of what we do here. Am I right, guys?
Yeah.
Or am I far too young? Oh, I'm not far too young.
No, you ain't.
Not even with his glossy hair.
You're basic.
All right. Anyway,
So
anything further?
far
to
long
add?
gone.
Okay, this is far long gone.
This is something wrong. And
And this
booby.
is boobs.
There you go.
Oh, KRISTY.
Auntieways. Auntie Ways. Sing it like Charles Nelson Riley.
Let him do his thing.